I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to Gwen's Bookish Ramblings, and so we're doing Yertle the Turtle and other stories today because, like many people, I read Dr. Seuss growing up, and like many people, I have a favorite Dr. Seuss. I'm not sure how many people find Yertle the Turtle their favorite, but that's my favorite. And not just because Yertle the Turtle rhymes, but the other two stories in this I can take or leave, but I happen to love Yertle. And it's not the moral of the story, which is fine. I just kind of like saying Yertle the Turtle. Call me shallow, but it is what it is. So, as with Dr. Seuss books, you have all of the really marvelous illustrations that are so fundamental and important to Dr. Seuss because, I mean, what would we do without these great illustrations? I do not know, because, I mean, the illustrations are kind of super, fundamental to what makes these up. So you have the inside of the cover has a bunch of Seussian turtles swimming, some of them looking remarkably pleased with themselves, as, they usually do. And here is Yertle the Turtle. And so the story goes that Yertle is the king turtle of a small pond in the imaginary Seussian land of Salamasond, because, that's Dr. Seuss for you. And Yertle one day gets a bee in his bonnet about wanting to, well, let's be honest, he decides that he wants to take over the world. He just starts small, because he wants to be ruler of all that I see, but I don't see enough. And he decides that, if he's able to see everything the light touches, that will be his. And so he insists that all of the turtles in his pond stack themselves up so that he can, see all the things. And I happen to love his delighted statement that he is, "Oh, mine," Yertle cried. "Oh, the things I now rule. I'm king of a cow. I'm king of a mule. I'm king of a house, and what's more beyond that, I'm king of a blueberry bush and a cat." Because, I guess turtles are very impressed by blueberry bushes and cats. As you can see by this picture from much later in the story, it is in fact turtles all the way down. Of course, Yertle decides that he's going to, see all the things, and that his way of taking over the world is to stack enough turtles high enough that he's able to be higher than everything, and if he's just taller than things, he owns it. So, as long as you're taller than something, you own it. And then we get to this point. Now, he's gotten into an argument with a small turtle named Mac at the base of his stack of turtles, who is extremely unhappy with having 200 turtles standing on top of him, because, of course, being the, 200th turtle, it's somewhat uncomfortable down there. But while he was shouting, Yertle saw with surprise that the moon of the evening was starting to rise. "And what is that thing that dares be higher than Yertle the king?" And so he insists on stacking turtles higher and higher, until, Mac basically gives out and collapses, and all the turtles fall down, and Yertle winds up being, dropped down, and he has to give up and accept that he is only going to be king of the pond, because, that's all there is. And nobody's going to let him take over. And of course, and to day great Yertle, that marvelous he is king of the mud, that is all he can see. And the turtles, of course, all the turtles are free, as turtles and maybe all creatures should be. which, it's a sort of a sappy, yeah, goes without saying sort of final line, but I just like saying Yertle, so it's my favorite. This is a 3-story book. The second story is the story of Gertrude Mcfuzz, who is a somewhat unattractive bird who has only one tiny butt feather, and she's the bird on the left, and the bird on the right is the bird that she's jealous of, named Lala Lee Lou, and she's super jealous of those, delightfully large and 2 butt feathers that Lala has. So Gertrude gets into a fit of jealousy and bothers her uncle because her uncle is a doctor, and like most half-decent doctors, he says, "You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing I can do about this. There's nothing you're going to do about this. I'm not going to help you make an idiot of yourself. You don't need plastic surgery. You're fine." But she flails at him until he finally gives in to shut her up. So he finally gives in and tells her where to find a magic tail feather growing plant, and she snarfles up way too many berries off of the magic tail growing plant, and she grows a magnificent tail in fine Seussian style, that her tail sparkled like diamonds and gumdrops and gold, like silk, like spaghetti, like satin, like lace. They burst out like rockets all over the place. And at first she's delighted because she'll get to show that, prissy bird Lala Lou that, hey, your butt feathers aren't as pretty as mine. I've got better butt feathers than you. And then she discovers, much to her dismay, that it's awfully hard to fly when your tail feathers weigh about 5 times your actual body weight. And so she winds up having to be literally carried home, and she learns her lesson as everybody has to yank out all of the feathers, and she winds up realizing that, she's fine with having only one tail feather. Life will go on, and there's no need to compete with Lala. So that's that. And it's not bad. It's a perfectly valid moral of the story. I never really cared all that much, save that, it's the usual Seussian standard of verse. But, like I said, Yertle. I just like saying Yertle. I'll repeat it over and over again. Yertle. Yertle, Yertle, Yertle. So we get to the last story, which is about a rabbit and a bear who get into a competition about who's better. And the way that competition works is the rabbit declares himself to be the best person, animal ever in the whole world. And the bear's like, "If you're the best, what makes you the best?" And the rabbit says, "Well, I have amazing ears and I can hear amazing, stuff from far away that nobody else can." And the bear says, "Well, I can smell better than everyone else." And finally, a worm pokes his head out and informs them both that he's better than both of them because he has super magical eyesight that can see all the way around the world in defiance of physics. Because, physics. And, so the worm then, having claimed to have seen all the way around the world, because apparently that's just a thing worms can do, or at least this worm can, and he informs them that, "And I kept right on looking and looking until I'd looked round the world and right back to this hill, and I saw on this hill, since my eyesight's so keen, the 2 biggest fools that have ever been seen. And the fools that I saw were none other than you, who seem to have nothing better to do than sit here and argue who's better than who." And so, yeah, that pause was me just flipping quickly to the right page. So that's the moral of the story, is standing around arguing about who's better than who is perhaps not the best use of your time. Personally, I'm more impressed if the worm was not in fact just lying to them to shut them up, because eyesight, defiance of physics, light travels in a straight line. There is no way for you to actually see the bear's butt from that side. But hey. Anyways, so that's the delight of this particular Doctor Who book, these 3 stories. And yeah, Yertle, 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 who is a turtle. And turtles are awesome, which of course also makes that awesome because turtles. Because it is turtles all the way down, and turtles are really because turtles. I like turtles because they're turtly. Anyways, I think I don't really have all that much to say besides, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is, as general rule, pretty good. Even when he's not that good, he's still pretty good. And yeah, of course they're children's books. Of course they have fairly standard morals that anyone could think of. Yeah, so I think I'm out of stuff to say on this one, because turtles. That's my final word on this book, is turtles. So that's everything, and I will see you all next week.